and welcome to this new episode of Educated Muslim. Have you ever wondered why Israel doesn't give two hoots or even a single hoot to the resolutions of the UN Security Council or the General Assembly? There is very well a good reason, and that is none other than the anti-Semitism which has engulfed the entire of the United Nations. It's mostly the US which is kind of pro-Israel, which bails Israel out of various Security Council resolutions, which goes blatantly against Israel without even knowing what is the background of the event. And now there is this another blaring or glaring evidence how UN is under the siege of this leftist who are indeed anti-Semitic. So it's a combination of leftist plus Islamist, joining together and making an anti-Israel or anti-Jewish lobby within the United Nations. So let us listen to this small clip, and that is by an Iranian who happened to be a Muslim. I don't know if she's a Muslim even now or not, but then it is a very interesting video which you all should listen, and then we can continue with our discussion. Let's go.
The first time I had a gun pointed to my head, I was 4 years old. I was walking to the park with my mom in Tehran when the Islamic Republic's morality police pulled up alongside us. While their job was to monitor our hem lengths and our hair covering, their real job was abusing their power to deny women our rights and agency through deliberate acts of intimidation, dehumanization, and outright terror. I've never, ever forgotten the evil I saw in their eyes that morning. Even as a little girl, I knew a real-life monster when I saw one. Today, the Islamic Republic of Iran that forced me and my family out of our homeland remains as oppressive as ever. And it is the same regime that funds the terrorist group Hamas. On the morning of October 7th, Hamas brutalized, bound, burned, murdered, beheaded, and sexually assaulted young girls and women in Israel. They raped young girls at a music festival and threw their dead, naked bodies into piles on top of each other. They raped women and teenage girls with such force and mutilation that medical examiners found them with shattered pelvises and missing organs. They raped the dead bodies of women. They dragged women through the streets and paraded them as their conquests to cheering crowds. Rape was a premeditated, orchestrated, deliberate tactic of war. Monsters. As a feminist and activist, I have stood shoulder to shoulder with women my entire adult life. Women who look like me and women who don't. Together, we were the first to sign Me Too. We marched at the original women's marches. We advocated for the safe return of the girls kidnapped by Boko Haram. We joined the calls to end Asian hate and Islamophobia. We supported Black Lives Matter. We campaigned for LGBTQ rights. We spent months protesting for women life freedom. We flew to the US-Mexico border to demand the reunification of families. We fought to protect our democracy. But then, on October 7th, I suddenly found myself completely alone. The champions I had stood next to so many times through so many injustices just disappeared. I was heartbroken and abandoned. Peers, friends, universities, and fellow leaders who still remain silent, you have made the deliberate choice to look the other way. You saw the videos, you saw the photos, many recorded and live streamed by the terrorists themselves on our feeds. You know exactly what happened to these girls, and yet you turned away. You ignored our pleas to bring the hostages home. You didn't participate in our campaigns. You didn't hold signs. You didn't march. You didn't wear the t-shirts. You didn't sign the letters. When our women's mouths were bound and gagged, you chose not to be their voice. UN Women, It took you 50 days to condemn this gender-based violence and another 7 to utter a single word about the terrorists that perpetrated them. When we commit to speaking out for women and girls, that means all women and girls. When we said believe women, we meant all women. So if you ignore the very clear and obvious violation of just these innocent women and girls, or worse, when you twist propaganda to dare justify it, then you are politicizing their pain. You are denying their stories. You are stating that their rights are undeserving and that their suffering is unworthy of your protection, and you are complicit in emboldening their perpetrators who must be held to account. Showing moral leadership does not require you to just pick a team and ignore the brutal contours of the real world. Moral leadership does require you to see these women and all women. It is not your job to choose sides between them. It is your job to stand on their side. Now, the United Nations has a very long history of singling out the state of Israel. But I am not here to justify the need for a Jewish homeland or defend its right, our right to exist. Because this, today, these brave people before you, this is about the women and the girls. And for their sake, it is time that the United Nations opens its eyes and does its job. It is time that my fellow leaders It is time that my fellow leaders, activists, and communities that have still remained silent open their hearts. You must not turn away from women who have been raped and massacred in the most horrific fashion simply because you dislike their government. Why is it that you cannot summon up your compassion for them? Why is it that you cannot find your voice to speak up for them? What is it about these women and girls that makes them so unworthy of your otherwise limitless capacity for outrage, solidarity, and justice? Once again, I'm afraid the reason is quite simple. Because they're Jews. If that is not the case, then now is the time to prove it. Join us. Speak up. Condemn the barbaric violence by Hamas against women and girls. I need you. We need you. These women and girls need you. As a child, standing outside the park, I remember looking straight into the evil eyes of those monsters. I was terrified. I knew those men would get away with anything they did that morning. I knew I had to remain silent. But I don't anymore. And neither do you. Please, please hold these monsters accountable. Denounce these war crimes, and always believe all women. Thank you.
So friends, you have listened to this lady who is a leftist or maybe was a leftist at this point in time. Her statements makes it pretty clear that she used to go for all those leftist agenda like LGBT, women's rights and all those things. But why is it that she got some enlightenment and she backed back, took some step behind to see where she is being led by? It It's not at all surprising to know that these leftists and the Islamists, they have ganged up as a team. For them, they can compromise their topics as long as they are able to fight against the right or the conservatives. Uh, just check about it. See, the Islamists will, go along with these leftists for their LGBTQ rallies. But we know for sure that Islamists are anti-LGBTQ. And in the same way, notice how the left is sitting silent in the form of you and woman, and not even raising a voice against the atrocities by Hamas against the women of Israel. They raped and killed and did all kind of atrocities against these Jewish women. How many were there? I mean, they say that is 1,200 were killed and how many? 300 were captured. So what kind of monsters are these people who take the women of others for their physical pleasure, and once when they are done with, they dump them? You know which is that ideology? I hope I don't have to repeat it again. Yes, that ideology is called Islam, and that Islam is the one that is propagated by Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam. The people of Hamas are not doing anything different than what Muhammad did and asked them to do. They are doing exactly the same. They capture women as booties of war and use them as sexual objects. This is exactly they have been doing with their own women, wives. But they have branded those ladies as wives, and these are captives of war, which according to the Quran, this is the one their right hand possesses. And they can do anything with them. So guys, this is a sorry state, very sorry state in which our world is being led to. Friends, there is this common enemy for both of them, the the Islamist and the left. And that common enemy is the Jews. Neither of them likes these people, the Jews. They will do anything to eliminate the group we call as Jews. They both are anti-Semites to the very core. So it's very natural that the UN women, the team which is led by leftists, they would not even want to care for the women of Israel. And there's no point even the Islamists would even want to care. And of course, these Islamists have, they run the world economy by the strength of the oil wealth which they have. And why should they be even bothered about, the plight of the Jewish woman? Absolutely no reason. Now, another interesting thing which I would like to bring to you is the motto of Houthis and the Hamas. These both are kind of, hand-in-glove group. So let us see both of their mottos, and I will end this video once we are done with that. Okay? Thank you.
Hamas, or Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, Islamic Resistance Movement, is a militant group and political party in the Palestinian territories. Hamas's 1988 charter includes the following. 1. Maintaining independence. Hamas stresses the importance of keeping Palestinian national decision-making independent. 2. Liberating Palestine. Hamas affirms the responsibility of Muslims and Arabs to liberate Palestine from Zionist occupation. 3. Holy War. Hamas maintains that waging holy war to take control of Palestine from Israel is a religious duty for Palestinian Muslims. 4. Target Israeli soldiers. Hamas declares every Israeli soldier a target. And 5. Reject peace. Hamas rejects any prospect of peace or coexistence with Israel. The Houthi movement's official slogan is, God is the greatest, death to America, death to Israel. Curse the Jews, victory to Islam. The slogan is against the interference of the US and Israel governments.
Now, till we meet again, may the good Lord bless you and keep you. Bye.